What up, what up, what up? It's your boy LQ, Mr. Real Deal Fantasy HQ, and this is my new mini series called The Process, and I'm joined by one of the great fantasy minds in the space. We'd love to talk tight ends here. This is episode 1 with my boy Andrew Cooper. What up?
LQ, what's up, dude? Let's go.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to get you on, man. And this is such a great episode where we're going to be talking about the tight ends because a lot of people have issues with the tight end position. And part of this series, it's called The Process. We're going to try to help people with our process, with your process. I definitely want to pick your brain because, man, you called Evan Ingram. You got that one off, man.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time hammering this process out. I've also called Evan Ingram a number of times. Who knew he just needed to get away from Daniel Jones? But, it's this process, I'll give my dynasty process and my redraft one. And hopefully we can change the way some people think about tight ends because I know there's been some negative opinions out there.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Nah, that's nasty work, man. We love the tight end position.
Right.
And man, how about free agency? Has anything excited you? Like any moves that, put you on the radar and some non-moves that are still on the way, like happen?
No
moves.
I'll tell you one. Evan Ingram staying put was bad for fantasy football. It honestly, we needed him to go somewhere else because targets are king, and him staying put, getting paid $11 million. Who wouldn't want to get $11 million guaranteed? But Calvin Ridley coming to town. I read his Players Tribune. He sounds like he's ready to go. That's just too much. That's too much competition, honestly, for me. I prefer him to go somewhere. Like if I could take him and put him on the Panthers when they had nobody there, or the Packers. Like why couldn't he be the slot wide receiver for the Packers? I actually still think the Packers are a great landing spot for somebody, right? Yeah. So didn't love that. I do like Mike Gesicki. I'm a Patriots fan myself, so you got to separate that from the fantasy work, of course. But we saw him when you looked at so originally the coach over there when he first came in was Adam Gase, and Adam Gase, old school, kind of the devil for tight ends, has never had a tight end that didn't block on at least one of every 5 or so pass plays, which is awful. I don't have to tell you how bad that is for fantasy football, right? So he's got Gesicki with his hand in the dirt, doing power eye or whatever. Chan Gailey comes in, has him blocking on only 2% of pass plays. That's when we saw the Gesicki that everybody likes. And then, of course, Mike McDaniel comes in, and his system needs a two-way tight end. So they use Durham Smythe in line. He only plays like 35% of the snaps. Now we're going to see him get to play slot again for the Patriots. Hunter Henry will be in line. He'll be in the slot. How effective it'll be, I don't know. But anything's better than not playing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because it was nasty work for Gesicki
Awful,
last season. And like soon as like the rumors were happening in the offseason, like they're thinking about trading him or putting him on the block, I was like, oh no, it's time to get out. It's time to get out on Gesicki right now.
Get him out, man. And that's the scary thing with tight end is that you get drafted, especially because the franchise tag, they could just keep you. Like it's so cheap for a tight end franchise tag that if they want you, they just keep you. Exactly. And so that's wherever you get drafted, that's 5 years in that system. Finally, he gets the chance to go and pick his spot where he's going to play slot. So we saw it with Evan Ingram. Hopefully we're going to see it with Gesicki.
So he's like my guy, like that I feel as though might have an Evan Ingram-ish type of breakout. And I think this is the time to get back on him. I mean, I really like the move so far, but again, we were fooled with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry that season. We're trying to figure out who was the guy, and it ends up being neither one of them.
And you got to be really careful with these coaches that are also the GMs, right? The guys that buy the groceries and cook the meal, because they don't care about hurting anybody's feelings. With the coach GM dynamic, they pay a lot of money for the guy, and then you're like, oh, I got to use him. Belichick is not that guy. He'll ship you off. He'll ship you to Siberia to play for the Browns.
But how about the moves that are still underway? I mean, we have Dalton Schultz still out there. OJ Howard's meeting with Vegas. Like, I kind of want to get your opinion on OJ Howard to Vegas. Like, is that the answer to replace Darren Waller in New York? I mean, what are we doing?
So, I mean, OJ Howard is no Darren Waller. I think we can both agree on that. And there's a big misconception out there among fans that high-powered offense or good quarterback automatically means good tight end.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone keeps saying, the Bengals is the best landing spot. And I sit here, I'm like, behind Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and that's your best landing spot. That's the spot where you think the tight end can thrive, right? People are telling me like, oh, Foster Moreau went to LSU with Joe Burrow. Let's just put them back together. And I'm like, yeah. And then what? And then he'll be like the 7th target on the team like he was at LSU. Like, how does this work? Yeah, like who's going to get more targets then? Jamar Chase or is he going to get more than T. Higgins? Because I don't think so, dude. So
no, I mean Hayden Hurst was like okay some weeks when he was able to find the end zone, when he was able to get open if Tyler Boyd was out or if Chase was out, whatever the case maybe it had to be some type of equation where one guy was missing or just out of action. So it's not the best landing spot. I see the idea where people were going with it, but no, that's part of our process. So I like that we're still on the same page with our process and we're kind of ironing it out. So
now I will say this, for best ball, it's not too bad, but you run into the consistency issue, which you just kind of alluded to. When he scores, great. When someone gets hurt, great. But in the in-between time, you can't trust those guys. Tyler Higbee was tight end 6 last year and he was unstartable. Right? Like you couldn't start him, dude, because in the beginning of the year, he's getting the targets. Halfway through, he's putting up games with straight up zeros that he was playing in, supposedly.
And it's 30 routes.
Yeah, he was supposedly like the all exercise team, man. It was like Ian Thomas out there. So like you need that consistency. And that's why you need a guy that can be a focal point of the team. Top 2 target is where we want these guys to live, if possible. I know there's not even enough throughout the league for everybody to be top 2, but if you can't get a guy that's a clear number 1, like a Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce, you do it.
Yeah. You definitely have to follow, tight end targets per game. That's something that is part of the process as well. Does this team actually target the tight end position at all? Is it a tight end friendly offense? Is it going to be down to a guy having to get injured or a guy just simply, not performing well, coming back from injury, whatever the case may be? But the offense needs to be tight end friendly. And again, it goes back into your process of figuring out Evan Ingram. You're going under Doug Peterson. You have a guy who's actually been successful with the tight end.
Love Doug. Love you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. Thanks for being you, Doug. Right.
But like that goes into part of like trying to find these tight ends. And like we spoke a little bit on it about kill the tight end position. Like I know you've seen it on the timeline. I know you've seen people just spewing this out because they're just lacking. I don't want to say the talent, but they're just lacking the information to go get these guys in the later rounds.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I've never been a fan of kill the position at any position. Right, like the whole kill the kicker and give her the defense. Like you got to understand that fantasy football is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be random to a certain degree. Like maybe if you're playing like $1,000 buy-in league with your buddies, and it's like you really care about making it as much of a like mathematical blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But like most leagues are supposed to be fun. Like there's supposed to be some randomness to it. Don't get rid of the kicker. The kicker's a fun part of the game, right? Don't get rid of the
in leagues with kickers and defense.
Me too.
I hate it.
Me too. Hey. The thing is, but if you're gonna kill a position, if you look at a position like kicker 6 scored 136 points, kicker 12 scored 129. There's not a huge difference. Kicker 20 scored 121, like less than 10 points difference from kicker. Like 20 to 12 to 6, that takes a little bit less skill compared to tight end, where clearly there's a process. There's a difference between these guys. It is a skilled position. The one spot I guess I will give people credit is if you play in like a 14 or 16 team league, then I'd say it's okay. Go ahead, make that a wide receiver / tight end flex, where now you can still use tight ends there, but you're not forced to. But just getting rid of it in your 10 or 12 team league is just dumbing down your own format, and it's less fun. It's less fun.
It's not fun. I like the stress. I like honestly going through the weeks of trying to find that tight end, because again, if you miss out on Andrews, Kittles, the Kelseys, then you have to do the research to get into the mid to late rounds to try to get these guys that can give you at least 10 points. Because I'm a guy that looks for 10 points. I want 10 points from a tight end position. I don't care who it is. You know what I mean? So that is part of my process. But I want to hear your process of finding in the late rounds.
Yes. So here's my redraft process is this. It's a strategy I call Yin and Yang tight end. So if I don't get a guy who's an obvious top 5 player, the goal is to find someone who's top 5 at the position, right? If you think about it, if your tight end is not top 5 or 6 in a 10 or 12 team league, then you mathematically have a below average tight end, right? Like tight end 7 is below average. Yeah. So that's the end goal. And we know that going back to 2003, Randy McMichael, every tight end that's finished top 5 has had either 90 targets or 10 plus touchdowns, right? And the vast majority of them get there via the targets. The guys with the touchdowns is less predictable, but those are the barriers to entry. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we make that happen, right? So what I do with Yin Yang tight end is we wait and we take one tight end who is very safe, a guy that I could start for the first couple of weeks. Last year, we were drafting a lot of Zach Ertz. It worked out well for us till he got hurt. And then you wait after that, and then you take the most high risk, high reward option you could possibly take. Every year, going back like 6 or 7 years, there's been a tight end taken outside the top 15 tight ends in fantasy football that has finished in the top 5. It's been Engram twice. Engram as a rookie, and then Engram as a rookie, and Engram last year. It's been Darren Waller. It's been Mark Andrews. Right. One year it was Eric Ebron when he caught like 14 touchdowns from Andrew Luck. Oh, yes, remember that, dude? Remember that?
So up here, that was there. Face that dude, bro.
They're out there and we're going to find them. And the thing is, there's so many people out there that at some point they picked up a magazine at a gas station and they read, oh, you can't ever draft 2 tight ends. And they just kept that in their mind. And now I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because I read that. So someone said that. Like, that's just the way. That's just the way that it is, you know. And it's like they're like, oh, I'll just find the guy on waivers. Here's the problem with that is that me and my followers, we're going out and we're taking tight end 9 and we're taking tight end 15, Mark Andrews. So he's not going to be there. We're taking Darren Waller, and the moment that guy, what we're doing is with that spot is we're rotating him out. So if that guy doesn't hit week 1. We're getting the next guy and we're trying out the next guy and we're rinsing and repeating. So if you're not doing this, like if you're in a league that everyone just drafts one tight end and then they go like this, sure, you might be able to get them off waivers. But if you're in a league with me or if you're in the league with Laquan, it's not happening, dude. Right. Yeah. So that's the whole process. The Yin Yang tight end, it's worked out tremendous. Luckily for us, there's been Mark Andrews and Darren Wallers and Evan Engrams. If at some point there isn't, then we're going to have a down year. But so far, we're finding them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you might have those down years, and it's fine. You know what I mean? And plenty of us missed on tight ends that we wanted to blow up because one of mine's were Jonnu Smith. Right. You know what I mean? It was cool to get him in Tennessee with Arthur Smith. It was cool to get him around that time when Delaney Walker went out. So it was like, oh yeah, this guy could be something. But then it kind of dried out. So you have to move on to the next. Like that constant rotation every year, you're going to be looking for tight ends like that. And
you can find him mid-season because like one of those guys, Logan Thomas, right, that I actually forgot to mention there, he was through 6 weeks, he was tight end 26. And over the remaining course of the season, he was tight end 4. So it's not like, you just got to keep grinding.
Keep grinding and keep your eye on that waiver wire. Like the watch list is my cheat code for the tight ends and sometimes for running backs as well. The watch list is like the most underutilized tool, like with any like format of like Yahoo or like Sleeper or whatever. Like I love the watch list.
Yeah, and you want to know the stone cold proof that waivers are the most important thing for your league? Guys like you and me. I put my rankings right online. Like if you play, you do too. I put mine up every week. Like you can, if you're in a league with me, you can see exactly who I'm drafting, who I like, but you're not going to beat me to the wire. Because this is what I do. And the wire is where I'm going to beat you. Like you can go into a draft with me with my rankings and we'll pick all the players. But by week 3, I'm going to have a different team on my bench and I'm going to win the league. So that's proof that waivers matter. Cause you play in a ton of leagues. How hard would it be for me to find your rankings, LQ?
I mean, listen, it's everywhere in the content. You're going to know who I love. And like, that's why it's hard for my home league with my friends because they actually listen to my content.
Right.
Like the first couple of years I was doing it, they're like, oh yeah, whatever. You're doing your thing over there. When they start seeing some traction, they're like, wait, yeah, you're right, man. And they're watching my content like religiously. Like we're in a group chat now. Like, yo, who should I trade for? Like, dude, you're in my league. I'm not helping you.
Exactly. I have people that my buddies will they'll do that to me on the live streams. Like they'll come into like our Sunday morning live stream and they'll put questions in the chat like that, and I'm just like. I see you, dude. Like, dude, I know.
Today. Like,
they actually get away. My buddy Schwartz does that all the time, and he actually has gotten me to answer questions like about guys. He does that on purpose, but it is funny. But still, it's like, you and me, we're still winning leagues. Yeah, so clearly there's something to the waivers,
Yeah, the waiver wire, and I feel like if you hit on these tight ends, man, I really feel as though your team is built like like stacked, like you're built. Like if you're going like running back, whatever, wide receiver, and your positions are solid, the 5 positions are solid, dude, you're unstoppable. There's going to be a hard time of people trying to knock you down. And it goes back to what you were saying. You're not drafting 1 tight end. I'm drafting 2, 3 tight ends, man. Like I literally went David Njoku and Evan Ingram, and I've had a flyer with Jonnu Smith again, but it is what it is.
Of course, dude. Of course, though. Dude, he's with the ball in his hands in space. He's so good. The Patriots just didn't have the scheme for it. Is what happened. So hey, we might even see him sneaking around again over there. And I will say this: one of the biggest mistakes I see are guys that go out and all they care about is wide receiver, running back, and they draft really good teams and they do really well in the regular season, and then you get to the playoffs, like you talk about, and they're stacked at running back, wide receiver, and they have QB 11 and tight end 9. And then they're going up and it turns out, hey, all the teams that make that tournament at the end of the year are good, but they're stacked at RB and they have a real tight end. And that is like a one-way ticket to coming in 3rd place in your league.
It is.
Always.
I've done it.
I've done it. I've done it too, dude. I do it at court. You know what it is? We talk about tight end. I do that at quarterback all the time. I get to the playoffs and I'm just like, Kirk Cousins, man, just one time. Could you help me out? But no, it is quarterbacks where I need to be better at doing that.
That's definitely. I need to find somebody that's in the space that's like a quarterback, like whisperer, guru, because I think I do lack somewhat of the quarterback position, man. Because I look at everything else and I'm like, quarterback, I can go in with Derek Carr.
I do the same thing. We're talking about how we do it at tight end, and then at quarterback we're making all the same mistakes.
Your ass. I can take the same philosophy and strategy and just put it to the quarterback, man.
I put those rankings up last year. I did a lot better. We were drafting a lot of two QBs, and I whiffed so hard on my first QBs because I was drafting like Brady and Stafford, right? But I ended up with my second QBs, a lot of Fields and Tua and Trevor Lawrence. So,
there you go.
It worked out all right. Yeah. But yeah.
We'll change it up this year.
We'll mix it in there. Yeah, we'll fix it. We'll tell ourselves now. What is it, March? We're like, we'll be better. You and me are going to be drafting QB 12 again.
Listen, I got to draft next week, and I'm going to show you my QBs.
Yeah, let me know who you get, dude. Let me know you get.
Let's get into some of your tight end targets, man, for upcoming drafts, or your targets, or maybe some of your tight end sleepers, man.
Yeah, so we want to talk like for the NFL draft, or just like
we could do both. We got some time, man. I like how this conversation's going.
Yeah, no, I like it, man. Okay, well, I just gave my redraft system, which is the Yin Yang tight end.
Love that you put a name on it too.
I'm trying to because you know what it was? I'll tell you why I put a name on it, right? Is because I was writing these articles and I was like, you draft one guy that's he's like got a nice floor but a low ceiling, and that's your safe guy. And then you draft a second guy that's your low floor, but he's got really high ceiling, high risk, high reward. And I get so tired of typing that over and over again that at the beginning of the article, I was like, this is the yin, that's the yang. And that's what I'm going to refer to them as forever. So that is actually, the naming is a very selfish construct that I created to make my own life easier. Yeah. So that's my redraft system. In Dynasty, my system is incredibly simple. And guess what, LQ? This article isn't even out yet. It's still in process. So you're getting a little bit of an exclusive here, my boy. Yeah, a little bit. Play the air horns or whatever, dude. Let's go. So this system is called and my followers on Twitter are familiar with it, and my Reddit guys are, but it's called the SORT system. Incredibly simple. And that is start, opportunity, roster, talent. Simple as that, man. And throughout your dynasty, and because people they go back and forth on like, oh, do I want this guy because he's fast and he's got the skills, or do I want this guy because he's a top target on the team? The way we do it is you always want as many talented guys on your team as possible while we wait for that window of opportunity. And the start opportunity is important when you're competing to win. You brought up a name earlier in the show that is the perfect example, Delaney Walker. Because we always liked Delaney Walker, but he just so happened to be part of arguably the best single team tight end draft of all time, because he was drafted in the same draft as another great tight end. Do you remember who it was that was drafted by the same team? 49ers picked Delaney Walker in the 6th round, but in the 1st round, they took a tight end as well.
Damn, I don't, man.
He had arguably the best tight end combine of all time and a great tight end. They in the same draft as Delaney Walker, they took Vernon Davis.
Oh my God.
So he was stuck. He was stuck behind Vernon Davis, and and the thing is, he re-signs for another short-term contract, so he was stuck for 7 years behind Vernon Davis. And then he went to the Titans, and he was a starting tight end there, and he was a top 5 tight end for like 3 years in a row. First 1,000-yard season, 30 years old. So you always want to continue to hold those guys to wait for that window of opportunity. Now and in our, it seems so simple, just roster the most talented guys. But here's the other part of it. The start opportunity part is that rostering Jonnu Smith was a smart move, right? Like, he had all the talent, he looks great, but he never really had a chance to pop. No. Rostering Dallas Goedert during the Zach Ertz era was a very smart move. But here's the problem. During that time period, they didn't have the opportunity. So I saw so many guys out there loaded up with these guys that didn't have the opportunity but had the talent, and they're losing to the guys that are starting Logan Thomas, who might not have, a converted quarterback, might not be the most talented guy in the world, but he was a top 2 target in his team. People starting Gary Barnage or whoever, you know what I mean? Like, whoever gets the chance. So it's important that while you're competing to win now, you make the moves you need to do to get somebody who can be a top 2 target on their team. So sometimes if you're sitting there and you're loaded up on these guys that are all talented but not at the top of the depth chart, you got to make a sacrifice. So that's how the system works. It's that it's a sorting system, hence the word sort, that can help you balance your roster to both play for the long term and compete right now. If you're not competing now, if you're just blowing it up, then just go for all talent. Go for all talent. Who cares about window, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's dope, bro. That's a great process, man. And I got the exclusive on the article on the way.
Exclusive. Yeah. So it's gonna be out, I think, on Wednesday. So it's 2 days in advance to go out and trade for some of these guys. So right now, like, I look at, like, in the draft, guys, like, we want guys with speed, right? Because speed is the differentiator between the guys that have super high upside versus not that high. Like, and it really translates to yak. If you look at guys like George Kittle, he ran a 4.52. He could turn a 30-yard catch into a 70-yard touchdown.
Easy.
Right. Versus guys like, Zach Ertz can have awesome seasons, but he never really he has one 1,000-yard season in his career, which is surprising, right? Considering how many times he get 100 targets.
A shit ton. Let's just say that.
So many. And the one time that he had a 1,000-yard season, he had 156 targets, right? So that's the difference between a guy that runs a 4.7 and a guy that runs a 4.5. So I look at guys like Luke Musgrave, Dalton Kincaid, the kid that popped, Sam Laporta. What'd you think about Sam Laporta's combine?
Listen, these kids, they're different. There's something different in the water, because the tight end position, they're stacked this year. They're deep, bro. And it's like, they're going to end up on these teams. They might get day 1 shots. And it's like, we're looking at them later in the draft. I might be targeting some of these guys, man. This is a talented class.
Sam Laporta, when you say something in the water, he's another Iowa tight end. He's with George Kittle, Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson. There's definitely that's tight end juice they're drinking over in Iowa, man. So
I'm excited for this upcoming draft, like NFL draft, because like I need to see some of these guys land in positions where they can actually be the second target. I'll even settle for the third target on the team just based on their talent, where they can get consistent targets just as much as the second option.
Yeah. So for me, the way I do it, and we can't rank them for Dynasty until we see where they go. But I try and look at the tight end room. I put my tight end coach glasses on. I'm sure he's some meathead that looks like this, right? He's just, he's like, yeah. I put my tight end coach glasses on. I look over these tight ends in the room. I'm like, all right, here. I'm like, this guy's gonna skew blocking. That little fast guy can play in the slot. Because your special teams, dude, get out of my face, right? So like I look at what they might do, and that helps me figure out what their path is going to be. So if they land somewhere like Darnell Washington, for instance, thank God Austin Hooper went to the Falcons, because if Darnell Washington went to the Falcons to be an inline tight end next to Kyle Pitts, it would vaporize him. Now we know that he would have to be a blocking guy, and I actually talked to a high level scout, Brandon Huffman, who said that he's known this guy since he was 17. There were talks with Darnell Washington where half the scouts were coming to him and saying, hey, why don't you put on 40 pounds and be an offensive tackle? Wouldn't be that hard. And Darnell said, no, I want to play tight end. And these Huffman even said, he was like, they were going to this guy and saying, hey, here are your options. You can put on the weight and and be an NFL player that's a tackle, or you could potentially be a tight end and end up working at a car wash. Wow. And he was like, nah, I'm being a tight end. Right? Like but like that's a question that, I mean, George Fant was a basketball player at Western Kentucky, and then he switched to tight end, and they said they gave him the same ultimatum, and he's a 300-pound offensive tackle for the Jets. So it happens, you know. So that does scare me a little bit for down in Washington. But if he lands on a team like your Rams, right, tight end friendly spot, and they have Higbee and they have Hunter Long as a blocking tight end now, and now it's like, okay, why wouldn't this guy go the pass catching side? The wide receivers are getting a little bit older. Now all of a sudden I'm in. So that's what I want to see. I want to see how he fits within whatever scheme he lands on. So
that's going to be interesting. We got to break that down, man, because it's going to be interesting to see where some of these guys land, because we're going to be disappointed where some of these landing spots. Like it happens every year. Like every year, even with wide receiver, running back, whatever, every position we end up very disappointed, where we're like, why the hell did this team even work him out, visit him, talk to him? You didn't need him.
What are you doing? And if you don't think it can happen, then look around free agency, dude. Like what? Right? Like why Jacoby Myers? Why you have Hunter Renfrow? Why do you need Jacoby Myers? Like it happens every day. So if you don't think it can happen in the draft, just look at David Montgomery standing next to DeAndre Swift. Like it's absolutely going to happen.
Madness. And Johnny Smith getting traded to the Falcons was literally like, why are you guys giving something up? Just wait till he gets released.
I know, dude. Right, it is crazy, man. It's crazy. So yeah, we can enjoy, just enjoy the next month where all the dream landing spots, because it's gonna be, we're gonna get rug pulled like we always do. We always get rug pulled, man.
Let me pick your brain about Trey McBride. He's a guy that I've been getting tons of share of, because this goes back to the process of sorting. He's going to have some opportunity on the way with Ertz on his last year of his contract.
Bro, we got a glimpse. Like it's like usually you have to just guess, right? Yeah, usually you just have to guess and say like, oh, what might happen if he gets a shot? Does he go this way? Does he go that way? We got the glimpse where he started. He played like all his snaps at slot. Like they used him exactly like Ertz, and he looked good, man. Yo, how many rookie tight ends ever get 10 targets in a game?
Never,
dude.
I'm gonna have to literally stat hit that, because
I
was just like, holy shit.
I might have to too. The best 2 rookie tight end seasons, or the best 3 rookie tight end seasons that I've personally seen since I've been watching, you have to do, like Kyle Pitts obviously is one, Evan Ingram when he was a rookie, and then you have to go back to like Jeremy Shockey to find another one where it's where the rookie was actually relevant. So the fact that he did anything at all, and the great part is that like Ertz comes back now and gives us that extra window to buy him, like you're doing right now, because now we know the future. Like he's not going to go and be Drew Sample now. Like why would you do that? Why? Like he's not going to go and be one of these inline guys. So it really is he's the perfect kind of guy to go get in the immediate short term. I've been ringing the bell. I've been sounding the alarms. I'm like, you're hearing the Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton trade rumors, are you not? Yes. Like we're hearing those rumors. They went out and they got a fullback, and they went out and they got a blocking tight end in Chris Manhertz. So they added Michael Burton and Chris Manhertz. Yeah. That's why they're looking to trade one of these wide receivers. You can't have a fullback and a blocking tight end playing 30-40% of the snaps and also have 3 wide receivers on the field at the same time.
Yeah, that works.
Again, my favorite thing, it's math, right? Like it's math. Like you're not going to bring the fullback in and take the running back out. You're not going to bring the fullback in and take the tight end out. Who comes out? It's one of these wideouts, man. That's why there's no third wide receiver on the 49ers, because of Kyle Juszczyk. There's no third wide receiver when Patrick Ricard on the Ravens is playing 70% of the snaps or whatever that is. You know what I mean?
Looking at those numbers, you're like, what is
that, dude? Seriously though, shout out Patrick Ricard, UMaine. I think maybe UMass actually. I think he was. Yeah. But hey, but the thing is, you look what happens though. When you have a guy like that that's not soaking up targets, Michael Burton, I mean, he would played a bunch on the Chiefs. Nobody would even know. Like with those guys like Chris Manhertz, and those guys aren't soaking up targets, that means more consolidated targets among who's left over. So if they do trade, they trade Courtland Sutton, all those targets are getting funneled to Jeudy and Tim Patrick and Greg Dulcich. So go get Greg Dulcich before that trade goes down because the value is going to flip on itself.
Yeah, I was looking at Dulcich. My tune changed once the Sean Payton signing happened, and we've seen Russell Wilson very successful with a tight end in the system. We've seen Sean Payton make guys very successful, and Jimmy Graham was involved in both of those processes. So,
Jimmy, yeah, you forget that Jimmy. You forget that even Jimmy is one of the few players I've ever seen come back from a torn patellar tendon. Like there's only a handful of guys that come back compared to the guys that don't. Like you look at, David Boston, Cadillac Williams, Gerard Mayo, Victor Cruz. Like I know, like Victor Cruz is the saddest one, man. It's like you don't come back from that. Jimmy Graham came back from that same injury and scored like 12 touchdowns on the Seahawks. Like people don't give him enough credit. So
I think it was Russell Wilson too feeding him though. It was like he's going to utilize him because he understands his role. So his talent is like there where you have to literally utilize him to the maximum potential. And it's to the point where like I could see this for Greg Dulcich, and we're getting a little flashback in time at the tight end position.
Right. And the way Russell Wilson extends the play, like he could throw a touchdown into a shopping cart. Like he could throw me a touch. You know what I mean? Like you give it
like 40 yards out.
You give it a good enough push. Like cause he creates like when at his best, he's scrambling around and creating, and then he finds you. And the big guys, Tim Patrick, Greg Dulcich, he's going to be finding those guys a decent amount. So we got time. We got time for me to give you my my big time sleeper target this year. Or
yeah, man, I need that.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the big one. We'll also have to see what happens in the draft. Free agency is already escaping us without this team adding anybody. In fact, they lost someone. We'll have to see what happens in the draft, and if they get somebody who is like a locked in top 2 target. I mean, if they get like a Jackson Smith and Jigba, we might have to reassess. But as of right now, I look at this Tennessee Titans team and I see Treylon Burks looks like a very good player, and then after him, who's the next target? Kyle Phillips? Who? Like, why can't Chig Okonkwo be the next target on this team?
Are we back on Chig?
We are so on Chig, brother. Here's the situation with that. Last year, he had 3 plays over 40 yards, which is super rare for tight ends. The only other tight ends that have to have 3 plays over 40 yards in the same season within the last 5-6 years is George Kittle. Yes. And the thing about George Kittle, he ran a 4.52 40. What 40 time do you think Chig ran?
4.47.
4.52. Same exact 40 time. And Austin Hooper's gone. So last year he had those 3 plays. He was only playing 35% of the snaps. This year he's locked in, ready to play a full snap share. I don't care who the quarterback is. I hope it's Ryan Tannehill because we can trust Tannehill. Yeah, we can trust Tannehill to throw the short passes. But if they don't make a major move, this guy could be checking so many boxes in terms of athleticism, where he lines up, that he actually runs real high ADOT routes, right? Like it's just, I wish there was some way I could intervene and just be like, hey, don't draft a wide receiver.
Please don't do this to us because we kind of want Chig to kind of break out. I mean, he's not one of those guys that has a crazy ADP right now either. And his price isn't like too crazy. Standard March. I mean, do some temperature checks. If you need a tight end, you want to get a tight end on board. Like I'm definitely interested in Chig, but the draft is going to alter some shit, man.
I know, bro.
One of these top prospects, man. But we're still in cool, calm waters right now, man. I feel like that's a good sleeper where guys can literally target right now.
And even if they do draft a top rookie, I wouldn't let that throw you off too much, because if you go back and look at
don't fade him.
Yeah, if you look at the 2019 Falcons, up until the point where through 13 weeks of that season, they had Julio Jones, Austin Hooper, and a rookie Calvin Ridley. Up until week 13 of that season, Austin Hooper was getting more targets than Calvin Ridley. Yeah. Once Hooper hurt his knee, then the next 3 games, Calvin Ridley got 30 targets, right? And his targets got juiced. It made it look like over the season it was competitive, but it really wasn't. And then once they saw what Ridley was like, then it was over for Austin Hooper.
Once he showed what he could do, put it on the table, like, hey, here it is. Here we go.
But up until that point, Austin Hooper was like tight end 4 or whatever. You know what I mean? So
those guys that he's guaranteed 80 targets, man, and it's there, 80 targets plus. He's going to get it. His involvement is just great, but he's one of those guys that's out there in free agency right now, still available, but who knows where he is.
He needs the landing spot. He needs the landing spot, and so does Dalton Schultz, because those two guys are cut from the same cloth. In fact, if you go on Player Profiler, Dalton Schultz's best comparable player is Austin Hooper. So yeah, those guys both, if they have the right landing spot, we might be interested, but if they don't, I'm so out. Dalton Schultz, go back to the Cowboys, go back home. Like that's
home, man. Like
stay home.
You're about to get Dion. It's like nah.
He's gonna chase that money and be the next Austin Hooper, though. It could happen.
It could end up on the Browns somewhere, and that's not what we want. We want David Njoku to be good, man. They ended up taking Jordan Atkins, I think, or something like that. But
that works for me. That works for me.
Safe, man. But listen, man, this is awesome, man. I love that you were able to explain your process and, share your time with me and, man, to chop with them, talk some tight ends, because we love the tight end position. I would legit call you a specialist, man. Like, you got it, man. Evan Ingram, that was literally just a stand my ground. I'm going against everybody on Twitter. Like, the season is upon us, man. I respect the hell out of that, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man, is I don't just throw hot takes out there. Like, for me to say Evan Ingram is going to be top 5, or to say that I think he has that in him, I'm not doing that just to blow smoke. Like, I do this every day. Like, this is where I'm contractually obligated. I'm contractually obligated to find these guys. You know what I mean? Like, now I'm in on it. So I'm very excited to see the rest of this series, because I want to see what the wide receiver guy has to say. I want to see what the running back guy. You and me both need the quarterback guy. We got to find that.
He's going to be next episode, whoever that is.
Yeah. Find that quarterback guy. We need the secrets, dude, and not just draft a running quarterback. Everyone knows that one. I want more secrets.
Yeah, I want people to be able to break down like some of the guys that's going to take shots deep, and his scoring opportunity increases, et cetera, et cetera. Guys like Daniel Jones is very good and efficient in the red zone, so that's a little sneak peek there for the guys. So I like those guys that will be able to put up points on the board, of course. So I need help at quarterback, and so does Andrew.
Oh yeah, please help us, dude. Send help.
Well,
we'll trade tight end info for quarterback info. Put that on the bulletin. Put it on the bulletin board, dude. I'm available.
Yo, that's what's up, bro. I appreciate you having this time with me, man, and maybe we'll connect in the future again over summer or something, man.
100%, brother. We got to get you on the. We got to get you on the morning show, dude.
Oh, bro, say less.
Yes. Yeah. I'm signing you up for that.
Can I hear that, man? Put your stuff out. Plug yourself, man.
Yeah. So it's simple with me. If you just follow me on Twitter at Coupe Fiasco, that's the easiest way to get my stuff. If you want my written content, the real nerdy stuff where I do the deep dives, I do the Yin Yang tight end, all these, I kind of do it with every position. That's all at Fantasy Alarm. Type in Andrew Cooper Fantasy Alarm. My stuff comes right up. Nice. If you like conversations like this, the one we're having here, especially playing some of the silly games you've seen us play in the morning, the Front Yard Fantasy Show on Better Network, BETTOR, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time. I know that's a little early for you. We'll slot you in the later. Later.
Dude, 4 a.m.
If you get up at 6:30 though, you can come on at 9:30. All right, we'll get you in for that. So if you are on the West Coast, just go to Front Yard Fantasy on YouTube. Check out the shorts. They're like the shorts over there. See if you like the show, and if you do, then you can watch some of the longer ones. Throw it on the background. We have a lot of fun, a lot of info, breaking stuff down, and we play a lot of games and stuff to keep you entertained. So that's where all my stuff's at. Easy to find.
I love that shit.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, this is the end of the episode of The Process, a new miniseries that I'm going to be doing with some of the great fantasy minds. And again, thank you, Andrew, for coming through. Cool, man. We're going to get it done this year with the quarterbacks. We're going to get it done.
Tight end coach glasses. Let's go, baby. This is our year.
Peace. Yeah.